I don't have to do a game. Oh.
We get time.
This game recap. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that out loud?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tigers Minor League Report. I'm Rahel Steele. Alongside me is Brandon Day, Mark Gurash. Mark is going to be on in just a second. Chris Brown will be joining us. And before we get to the show and everything, I want to announce a few changes for the offseason and future for the podcast. So next week will probably be a recorded episode on Sunday. For personal reasons, people know why. I'll be out probably all of next week. So Sunday will be a recorded episode based off whatever happens with the offseason. Hopefully there's something next week. And second, while everyone knows this is Tigers ML Report or Tigers Minor League Report, we're going to do a subtle name change. It's the Tigers ML Report, but to basically say, hey, we cover all things Detroit Tigers. And while people already know that, I feel like putting it out there in writing with all of us, we're doing various things might help us with branding. So we're getting some much needed help on some production side of things. It's at that point too, Brandon, and you can attest to this too, being a site editor, and when you start juggling too much hats, it's just, you got to start getting some more help. And so with work, everything personally and all that stuff, it's time. It's really time. And that's why Mark is here also to help us out, because Mark is a good trusted voice once his voice gets going. And he's a guy who can bring. Sorry, Mark.
We need an equipment upgrade though.
Yeah. And this is Mark. Mark is working on getting his stuff all taken care of. But anyway, Chris will be with us momentarily as well. But I just want to make those quick things because we also have quite a bit going on in terms of the prospect side of things. The Kevin McGonigal is number one prospect in MLB. Really? Oh, I thought there's something there with that. But it's here. All right.
I don't think they updated anything. I think it's probably still Griffin for them, although others have Kevin for sure. It's one of the two.
Yeah, either or. I mean, I personally think it's kind of Griffin. I mean, I cover the Tigers, but we can see them both in action at the same time. It's like 1A and 1A. It's 1A, 1B. One does something a little different. One essentially. McGonigal is really good at what he does, but Connor Griffin's good, special too. So it's
I'll give the offense, to Kevin, but not by so much. And Connor Griffin's a lot more likely to be a good shortstop. So, that's just kind of how it goes there. But you could have it either way. I wouldn't freak out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, for anybody that's trying to like split hairs with that, you really can't. So, but at any rate, no. And also tonight we're going to be talking, we're going to do a segment, prospects of kind of looking back at some past prospects, what they thought the evaluation was, and we're doing it in honor of Tom Timmerman. We're going to look back at him, who he passed away. Billy Martin, he pitched him for 71 games, which was really unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
The MLB trade rumors did a really nice write-up on him, so we'll talk about him a little bit. But so what I wanted to start the podcast with was Brandon did this article on the ABS, and the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because with the suspensions that's gone down with Ortiz and Class A, there's a lot of moving parts of this, Brandon, that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but it seems like also it's just going to change, I guess, really kind of change the future of how we look at umpiring and calling balls and strikes. But go ahead and take it away, because I wanted to kind of, I can kind of feed people with this and everything, but.
Well, yeah, if you want, I can take it. I mean, basically, I'm just asking the question. I don't really know if Major League Baseball is going to react to this the way I think they will, or at least that they should. But I mean, we've all seen a huge rise in sports betting, and that's been pushed by the league itself and their partners. Everybody's all partnered up with FanDuel or DraftKings or whoever it is. And so there's this huge run on betting, and we've seen like players getting a lot more threats from angry people who bet on them to do something and they didn't do it. And then now, yeah, we have the Emmanuel Class A scandal. And I mean, these guys were knuckleheads. Like, if you think of it as an online casino, and if you've ever been to a casino, if you start winning a whole bunch of dudes and big dudes in suits start circling around because you're not supposed to win. When you are winning big, you become a target and everyone's going to investigate you. And so you have to be a lot smarter about it than they were. I mean, they were using their freaking phones in the dugout. But if you did this on a smaller scale, making the prop bets that they were making, which they haven't eliminated, you could probably get away with something. And if we look at who is more vulnerable to this, is it the guys making millions of dollars, or is it the umpires who make, maybe 100,000, maybe, in the major leagues more than that? There's a temptation there, to quietly kind of try to nudge games one way or the other. And, I don't really think there's a huge widespread problem with this, but the perception is the problem. And, there's already people who think sports are all rigged, and now you've given them more fuel to the fire. So I just wonder, how fast this is going to push them to just institute the full ABS. And with the new CBA coming up next year, you would think that might be a time that they decide to bring it up. So question, and that's that's kind of what I'm writing about, is like, I mean, that would be a way of like taking at least one big part of the game, out of human hands, and the possibility for skullduggery, as we used to call it, to go on. So yeah, I just wonder, and then there's the other part of it, which is that once you have ABS set up and you're using it for the challenge system, like, the obvious next step is like, why are you purposely letting calls be bad? You could just use it. So yeah, I just wonder if there won't be a push on that. And I kind of think the league would be pretty wise to get ahead of things in a way that they haven't so far. This kind of snuck up on them, and it probably won't be something that becomes like a huge ongoing problem, but the perception of the problem is putting people off. So yeah, I figured I'd write about that and just see what people's takes on it were.
But you're right, though. The one part about the strike zone, it is a truly unique element. I mean, it doesn't, if you go partly, it doesn't, as you said, going partly doesn't make sense. Either you go in full or you don't. And watching this in the minor leagues, just you could also get an idea of how well the trained batter's eye is sometimes too, because when usually you see the accuracy of somebody going, oh, you missed it by that much, or you called it, it just kind of gives an indication of how well a batter can see the ball. But I think it's just the thing that really as you said too, the opportunities for disaster are there. But for example, the Lion team last night, the way the Lions, even when Jason Kelnick or Jason Kelsey is calling out the refs, as a former Eagle, I mean, again, betting. I mean, it's a totally different sport. I understand that. Be that as it may.
But that's the thing. There's all these judgment calls that have to be made in a sport like football. Everyone's moving, everyone's active. Like, it has to, you have to be able to make those calls in real time, because they can affect the play in the play, even though they teach them to, play it out as though, nothing was called. But yeah, I mean, the strike zone's just sitting there. This is easily done. I mean, we bought this, in tennis, decades ago, and of course it's simpler when you're just checking the lines. But this has been a part of things forever. And of course, tennis kind of is the same way. Like, there's still an umpire, and they've kind of balanced how they use it as well. But yeah, I mean, the strike zone is a unique element to sports. It's never really been defined. I mean, you're maybe not quite old enough to have grown up without the strike zone box, but Mark and I certainly are. And I mean, it was always part of the game to manipulate where the strike zone is. It's never been like conceived of as like a set thing. It's like something that pitchers and catchers could manipulate, to their advantage. And the better you are at working that, the more advantage you have. But once you institute the challenge system, again, you're actively allowing bad calls. You don't need to, you're choosing to. And I mean, I just think, in the wake of like the league isn't going to get away from partnering with all these sites. And, sports gambling was legalized, with no input from MLB necessarily. So it's not like this wasn't going to happen anyway. But because they're hooked up with them as well, there's just an added emphasis on like, you guys have got to like eliminate as many possible variables from this as you can. Or there could be a worse scandal or something like this could happen in the postseason, and then you've got a problem that'll haunt you for years.
Can you hear me or not?
Yeah, Mark. I was going to say. So, Mark, let me ask you a question with this. As far as somebody that you grew up when the game was, in terms of if even gambling was whispered, it came down with the thunder and all that. But at the ABS, I mean, should this just be a foregone conclusion already?
Why? Here's a question for you. Why would you not want a system in baseball that the strike zone was the same for everyone? Balls and strikes weren't a discussion. It was an agreed upon methodology so that, you do understand that there are certain pitches that do not stay in the strike zone 100% of the 3D box, right? I mean, so there are certain, and it's only the edge of the ball that's a strike. But the point is, same strike zone, every game that's played that day, every strike zone for every hitter is the same. No discussion whether it's a strike or not. The consistency level. Why would you not want that?
Yeah, I agree. Once you can do it, once you've shown that you can do it consistently and use the system for years, how are you just going to use it like on kind of a part-time basis? Someone asked how many challenges. You get 3 challenges per game. As long as you don't lose one and you're not
as
wrong.
long as you don't lose one. So you get 3 challenges where you can be wrong. Okay. If you're right, you have an unlimited amount of challenges. Okay. And I think you've already seen what a great addition to the game the pitch clock became, as far as the pace of the game, the strategy of the game. It's so much faster. It's so much cleaner, so much more repetitive in quality, and the ABS will only add to it. Now, look, there's some really, really smart people that will tell you the ABS is not perfect, and I get it. But it's like if I said to you, as I am going to be 70 years old this year, and the advent of the driverless car society becomes part of what we're doing. I saw a really strange question to ask yourself, and understand how many people die in auto accidents because people are too old and they're driving. My mother. People are too lit up and they're driving. They're liquored up. They're distracted. All the things and there's tens of thousands of people that die or get maimed in car accidents every year. And I was seeing somebody talk about Waymo, which is Google's version of driverless driving. And they said, do you think a driverless car will kill someone? And they were like, yes, somebody's going to get killed by a driverless car. And the idea that people would be so outraged that one person would get killed by a driverless car when every minute of every day someone is dying in a car accident for neglect of paying attention or being impaired. Think about that, and then apply a similar narrative to the ABS system and the strike zone. Okay, yeah, they might miss one, two. They're not missing 3% of 300 pitches, which is 9. All right. Yep. And then what about when the strike zone is different in the 9th inning than it was in the 2nd inning?
Yeah.
What about that? Yep. So how anybody could not think this was a good thing for the game? I mean, I guess people like human error. Me personally, I do not. I don't like it. I don't like it if you were performing surgery on me. I don't. There's a lot of places I do not like human error. Okay. Yeah. And I think I think it's a massive improvement for the game, and it'll add strategy on top of it. And anything that adds strategy to a baseball game when AJ Hinch is your manager, consider yourself getting an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. There you go. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting change in the game. We've already, we've seen it in the minor leagues where it's tough on pitchers. Like, you have to have the stuff to throw it in the zone now. So it should, in theory, at least boost offense, I would think a little bit. But, I mean, the strike zone is kind of like this diamond in the way it's called, or like an egg. And you're going to lose the top and maybe the width a little bit, but you're going to get those corners, and guys who are able to paint those corners or work in those areas are going to have an advantage that way. So it's not going to change the game radically, but it is, I think, probably beneficial for offenses more than anything, beneficial for hitters to have like a consistent zone that they can then learn, rather than like, having to figure out like, okay, this umpire, I mean, this is the thing, if people don't know, probably a lot of them do, but the best teams are scouting the heck out of the umpires and like, okay, This guy always calls this, this rail. He'll never give you this call. So, teams will adapt in that way as well, but it's just an odd thing once you can do this, once you have the technology to do it, to then to choose not to do it unless someone challenges. I just think, I mean, there's almost every reason why this is just going to end up skipping past the challenge phase pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Hey, Raj, you've seen more minor league games than anyone I know the last 5-10 years. Okay. But the last 2 or 3 years, they've had this system in. How many? 2 or 3?
3, 4. Yeah. I thought it was 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Pretty much.
So you've seen a lot of games, probably so many that you barely notice the ABS in the game because you just are so used to it. But you would have the most, informed opinion about, has it improved the game, how quickly they get decisions down to the umpire, and how explain a little bit how seamless it is and the impact you've seen. No one's seen more games than you.
I mean, it makes, so for example, here's the difference between AA and AAA. So in AA, they don't have this. The strike zone in AA is atrocious, period. You watch the game in Erie versus Toledo, it is night and day, because when they do challenge the ball in AAA, it is literally 3 seconds. It doesn't take that long. It goes right up on the big screen. The challenge is reviewed, and then they keep going. It is seamless.
Hitter just goes.
Yep, exactly. The hitter makes his sign. And then I noticed this year something that was new was now you have the check bat. And that was down in single A for Lakeland. And that was cool to see how the bat would advance in the zone. Oh, yeah. And it's very accurate. And so the strike zone, the thing about the ABS challenge system too, it's always by T-Mobile. They do it, the umpire just kind of shrugs his shoulders and they move on. But the strike zone difference between that and I noticed this with a lot of Tiger pitchers when they go off to AA to AAA is Jackson. I mean, I remember Jackson Jobe just getting pissed off all the time about the strike zone in AA, comparatively speaking to Toledo. That is right there where the experience of the game is. It doesn't take that long. Toledo games I went 2 hours and 10 minutes. There was not much of a difference in the pacing of games or anything. Sometimes the only thing that took long, if there was an interruption on the field that had nothing to do with the umpiring system whatsoever, period.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that people who are going to sit there and say it's going to ruin the pace of the game don't know, can pull their head out of their ass, because it literally does not. I feel that with this is the way it should be, because as far as I'm concerned, if you're an umpire, right, your reputation's already on the line as it stands. You want to make sure you have the most. You want to make sure anybody's going to call you on the ABS, because right now there's such a difference with the umpires in AA, comparatively speaking to everywhere else. In AA, almost like they're rookie camp. The balls and strike zone so inconsistent there. So
yeah, we talked a lot about it, with Job, last year, just like. I mean, he would get ahead and then he would just like paint the top edge and just never get the call. It was like the umpires just didn't want him to strike all these dudes out, and they were trying to make a game out of it or something. And you see that all the time, at that level, and especially below, where it could be anywhere. And when you're like trying to train a young pitcher, how to command the baseball, and then you also don't have any kind of very, very well defined strike zone. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And like you say, I mean, it goes quick. I suppose there's the element of like, okay, what if the system goes down? The umpire has to go back to calling balls and strikes, but that could happen with anything. So, the system doesn't seem to go down with replay. And if you look at like football, like over time, rather than resist all the technology, the umpires, and the referees got used to it and how to use it to just augment what they're doing. And if you could convince umpires to think of it as a tool to help them do their job better, that approach I think would be better than like, no, we're replacing you jokers because you're not good enough at this. But but it's the same deal. Like you need to kind of get that buy-in from them, but they have to know this is coming.
Yeah, I mean,
time is here.
And Sean makes a good point too. It is great fan interaction. They usually play some sort of like Jeopardy music or whatever the case is. It's a good way to also get another sponsor out there real quick. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can make money off. Baseball loves making money. I mean, who doesn't? But at the same time, this is a way to get something out there pretty quickly with that. And so the one thing that I cannot stress to you enough about the Empire Challenge this whole ABS system is the amount of seeing how fast it goes in terms of like the technology coming up there pretty quickly on the screen and everything. It's not something that I look at it looks completely different than what you see on TV, because the strike zone on TV is just that box.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot more accurate. So I like this question here from Folk 88, and he says, do you think ABS has hurt prospects when they get to MLB because they have the ability to challenge in AAA and not MLB? Announcers have mentioned that young guys don't get calls. Folks, that's a really very good question. And I don't think, to a certain extent, I think it's hurt. Like, I think it's hit that maybe perhaps affected the hitters more so than the pitchers. Pitchers are getting the benefit of the crappy calls versus the hitters. But I mean, Malloy, for example, Justin Henry Malloy, seen sometimes some frustration and everything. It's body language I've noticed with that, where they're like, really kind of thing. But pitchers really are like, thank you for that call.
Yeah, and it's always been a thing. I mean, it's always been just kind of like a taken for granted thing that I mean, until you establish yourself at the major league level, you're not going to get the benefit of as many calls. If you're Greg Maddux, or you're going to get the benefit of all the calls. So I mean, there is some element to that too, where like tenure kind of like gets you a little bit more benefit of the doubt. And I mean, this would kind of eliminate that part as well. And the fan interaction point is a good one too, because it is kind of fun, for the fans to have the challenge system and to like wait for a second, like what's it going to be, and then there's a reaction. But we can live without that. We can just quickly get all the calls right and not worry about it. The other thing I was going to add, Codify on Twitter had like a really good graphic about this. The strike zone is like, I think it's like 27% of your height, up, and then like 53% of your height. So it's gonna change based on how tall you are. Aaron Judge is gonna have a taller strike zone than Jose Altuve is going to have.
Yeah.
Not just like it moving up this way, but it's gonna expand. For a taller, longer limbed player. So it's it's a little bit interesting that way, that the strike zone will actually kind of like be called, like letters and knees basically. And then what it is though is that they take from the front and the back of the plate. It's like 8.5 inches in, and then there's a plane. So it is still like oddly like a 2D plane that it has to touch. So it can't just like nick the front end on its way out. It's actually got to drive a little bit through the zone, which was kind of an interesting choice as well. I kind of thought it was just going to be like the cube, but not quite.
That's what I said to you before, is they're going to have a certain amount of depth within a 3D view that it has to eclipse in order to be called a strike. But just understand, software is going to do all this, and they're going to customize the strike zone for each player. And players are going to go to the plate 600 and 700 times a year. So, if you appreciate software and how it constantly is refining itself to be better and better and better the more you use it in this particular circumstance. I find it very difficult to believe that this is not going to be a very, very high degree of accuracy for both on the player's standpoint and what they call a strike and what they call a ball standpoint also.
Yeah,
So
I think that's a good point by Deadly Ninja Bees right there. You are going to see the high breaking ball make more of an appearance, I think.
yes,
The Mariners kind of were using that a little bit as well already this postseason, and yeah, you're gonna see a little bit different strategy, like those calls that you just never get up there. You're going to get them accurately now, so that will become part of a strategy, is to nail those two high corners with looping breaking balls and try to freeze guys. I love whoever it was that pointed out that there's a FanDuel ad on Bless You Boys.
That was me.
Right with it. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's it. Like we've been doing FanDuel ads all season. FanDuel is literally the broadcast partner of the league. There's no way around this stuff. So yeah. Another argument for cleaning it up.
Hey boys, I got a question for you while we're discussing FanDuel paying the bills. What's up, CB?
How are you?
Do you think that a fast way to diminish some of this problem that you guys discussed off the jump would be to remove prop bets on a pitch?
Oh yeah. I think prop bets are the worst. I mean,
betting pitch by pitch, like, is this going to be a ball? Is this going to be a strike? Like that.
How degenerate? I just feel like that's a level of degenerate. It feels like a level of degeneracy. It's just, I don't know.
Yes. What did you think was going to happen? That's what I'm asking. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? All right.
These are people who are like, splitting kings and blackjack, But yeah, I think all they did was they limited it to, I think the bets are reduced to like 200 a piece, but there's a lot of people out there who know who could automate something to make a whole hell of a lot of small bets at the same time. So I don't really see what that really does for you. So.
Yeah. By the way, Sean with the $5. Thank you, Sean, with the question here.
Hey,
he says, he's gonna say, go in and break the seal and ask who's gonna lose it when we expect Bregman instead get Cave and
Savali and Rendifo.
Yeah, and why will it be Chris?
I lost it all last year about us not getting Bregman, so maybe I will be just exhausted with it. But oh my god, I was pissed. I was the one screaming about it all off season, probably the loudest and the most just like irritatingly to people. And look how would things have looked with that offense when you had if you had freaking Alex Bregman stuck in there, who actually makes contact, and then let your sluggers bang and strike out. But then you have McGonigal now and Bregman, like hitting like 1 and 3. You put Carpenter, Torkelson, Green around those guys, you're cooking. That offense is cooking.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, they spent. I think I've tweeted this many, many times now. I mean, they spent $52 million on essentially, if you include Jack Flaherty, on essentially nothing. And I mean, I don't mean to disparage Jack Flaherty. God knows he threw a lot of really good games against good teams, but holy smoke, they were 9-22 in his starts.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's not a money thing. And I've said this also many times. I think Chris Ilitch, he basically gives them a budget every year and says, go do whatever you're going to do. And if you want to spend more, come and ask me. Do you really think that he would say no to an Alex Bregman deal? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, they were freaking $15 million away last year. I've said this a million times too. I'm a broken record. Spent that much on Alex Cobb, guys. Like they could have just had Alex Bregman.
He was shopping for houses a half a mile away from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was almost a done deal. They were convinced. Everyone thought it was going to happen, and then they punked out. Anyway.
So let's. I think all of us are pretty much on the same plane there, right?
Chris, I was going to ask you. You watch the same amount of games I did. As far as like just for fans out there, how quick of the game does it go by with the ABS? It doesn't really. It seems like it's seamless, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
30 seconds, 45 seconds tops to get one of these rulings, and then you're right back in there. And it's been interesting watching this sort of the philosophy of which pitches to challenge change since they started at the minors, where they originally batters were like saving for later, like a 3-2 count or whatever, but they are now doing it much earlier in the count because there's so much more value in being ahead 1-0 than there is, going from 2-2 or whatever to 3-2. It's so it'll be interesting, but yeah, it doesn't change the time at all. It'll still be much faster than baseball was before the pitch clock, and it's fun. It's a fun little game. I'm sure you can find a way to bet on it too. Because they show you how far away the pitch is. Is it 0.2 inches? Is this a 2-inch word? Yeah. But
I love that. Don't you love that part?
Yeah. No, it's great. And one of the other things you learn is, and you see some wild challenges in low A. Some guys are still learning the strike zone. By the time guys get to AAA, they have a remarkable ability to know what's a ball and what's a strike. Like, I mean, I rarely see something that's like more than literally like half an inch away. And once you get to the big leagues, like we joke about Javi Baez, right? But Javi Baez, like if you just threw him pitches and he wasn't swinging, he would probably get balls and strikes right 99 times out of 100. So these guys know what they're doing.
It is a training device in its own way. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. But it'll be fun. I welcome our robot overlords.
Baseball is ruining gambling. I like that. That's good.
That's great. Baseball is ruining gambling. Is so spot on.
Yeah, that is very spot on. So let's move on real quick. And I wanted to do our little prospect, kind of the flashback a little bit because former Tiger Tom Timmerman, who won the 1970 Tiger of the Year award, voted by the Detroit Baseball Writers chapter award we have voted on, Chris. Yes, we have.
That's right. So
he was voted for the Tiger of the Year 1970, and I found a really cool flashback photo here of Tom Timmerman because he also has probably the coolest pair of glasses I've seen on a player. I mean, it's always cool when you see a player with glasses. But this is from January 13, 1971, and here he is with Billy Martin, former Tiger manager here, who used the crap out of him. He appeared in 70 games, but Tom Timmerman was, as far as he lived in the area too, but he set a record for most. I think it was like a minor league game for outs. Consecutive outs, he got on grounders or something to that effect. But either way, the write-up, he spent 8 years in the minors. He was originally signed in 1960 before he got called up by the Tigers, and really was, I don't know, like there wasn't, I guess he would be, I don't know, prospect hype or whatever the case was, but there wasn't, I was trying to find a scouting report on him and I couldn't really find much, but he was the guy who just went out there and really was like one of the first rubber arm guys that he threw out there all the time for the Tigers. So 6'3", 200-pounder. I don't know. I was trying to find some more, but it was like this is when the era of the 70s started becoming the era of the relief pitchers, where roles were starting to become established. Of course, John Hiller becoming the first Tiger big reliever or anything, but Tom Timmerman kind of started that. And of course, Mike Marshall was a former Tiger, and he was doing that in Montreal, although he went to Montreal before he went to the Dodgers and won the Cy Young in, was it 73? I want to say 74. I can't remember when he won the Cy Young, but anyway.
106 games he threw in.
Wow. 74. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he was
208 innings as a reliever.
He was pretty tall too. Yeah, 6'4". Yeah, for that era, he was a pretty big dude. It's funny, his Wikipedia page says he grew up on a dirt farm on the Illinois prairie. I'm not sure what a dirt farm is exactly, but all right.
Yeah. Well, all I'll say about Tom Timmerman, boys, is I saw him and none of you were alive. Okay.
Well, I was conscious, but I was alive at the end, I think.
I was 14. You were all not born yet. So, and he threw kind of hard, and he threw for Billy Martin. He was pretty good. He appeared in over 70 games one year. Came up as a starter. And yeah, he threw a lot. He, back in the day, okay,
Ground
when
ball type
yeah,
guy.
right, got ground ball type guy. I think if I remember correctly, he threw in the pen with John Hiller, and then he might have succeeded him for a year as closer. But yeah, sorry. I forgot how old he was, because when I saw he was 85 years old today, I was like, damn, he's 85 years old. So, but yeah, pretty great Tiger, and not that obscure, believe it or not, if you're old. So,
by the way, I did this for Sean. I looked up the 87 Topps card.
Brookins, yeah.
Yeah, Tom Brookins.
Yeah, Tom Brookins had strong glasses game for sure.
And the mustache was outstanding, yeah.
But
who else do we think of? Like Eric Sogard?
Paul Gibson.
Yeah,
Paul Gibson would come to mind. I think Scott Lusader. I think Scott Lusader had didn't he?
Chris Sabo.
Mr. September, Chris Sabo.
Yeah, Scott Lusader had a good glasses game. Or no, I thought maybe he did. He did. Yeah, he did. So here's another. He also had those kind of square. Oh, here it is. The square glass. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Huh. So you can tell this is off-season, gentlemen. We're going down the Scott Lusader route here.
We're scouting eyewear now.
Yeah. But by the way, the Tigers have an alumni, or the MLB Golf Open is tomorrow, by the way. So speaking of tomorrow, this kind of goes into the next topic, which is the Rule 5 draft, and also pretty much what's going to determine the Tigers infield for 2026. Wow. Alan with the Fred Gladding reference there.
Hey.
Oh, the Bear.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's strong.
Yeah. Nice call there. Of course, it's not as good as Jerry Gleaton's High Pants card. That's one of the best mom jeans of all time. Anyway, but so the qualifying offers tomorrow. So essentially, there's been rumors that there's a 4-year he's looking for 4-year deal. If he qualifies, the Tigers would get a draft. If he signs, he's back with the Tigers. If he doesn't, the Tigers get a pick based off if he makes more than $50 million to be second round, or if it's more than $50 million, it's first round. Less than $50 million, it's second round. Is that right?
After the second round, yeah.
It's after it's competitive balance round B. It's basically a pick around 75 to 85, where they got Ethan Scheffelbein. And if they get it after the first round, it'll be where they got McGonigal, 35 to 40.
Now, this podcast in the past has been a student of the Rule 5 because you get all excited about it, but now it doesn't matter because the Tigers are competitive, and the Tigers are probably not going to pick somebody in the Rule 5 draft, more than likely. They have a full 40-man roster, but I want to go around the room and ask who right now, as it stands, I want Trey Cruz, I want Hailey and Tyron Lozano on this roster. Tyron's going to be on this because Scott Harris and Hailey are his trade trips. I would like Valencia, but I know it's not going to happen. But who do you guys want on the 40-man roster from who's unprotected, or you guys see being even drafted by somebody else? I'll start with you, Brandon.
That's the problem, is that right now the 40-man is full, right? They picked up Jack Little and Dugan Darnell. So they have guys they could cut. They could cut Chase Lee, they could cut Dylan Smith. There's some guys who are kind of fringe relief types who they could make space for. I would assume sometime this offseason we're moving on from Andy Ibanez. But you have to be able to figure out who you want to cut to add someone. But yeah, I think you've got to add Tyron Lorenzo, even though I think he's probably still 2 years away. But there, some broke team like the Rockies or something like that will just claim him and stick him on the roster all year long, the way we did like Victor Reyes or something. So yeah, you probably got to keep him. And then who else do I really, really want? They're going to protect Hao Yu Lee. I'm sure of that. He's almost ready to be something of a minor contributor maybe. So yeah, that's the kind of guy a team could pick up. He's still young. He didn't have a very good year at AAA, but he got there at age 22. So you're going to give him a little bit of space. And then I would really like to keep Jake Miller because I do think he's going to get claimed. The Tigers kind of had him like, oh, we were going to send him out to the Arizona Fall League, but no, he's injured. He can't go. And that all felt like a little bit of like, oh wait, we don't want to give this away.
Yeah.
What do you think that was, Brandon?
Yeah, I think that was we don't want people to see that this dude's healthy and throwing.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what exactly I wrote. They're like, oh wait a minute, on second thought.
This guy has injury trouble. You don't want to take him.
Shoulders a mess, bro.
He's getting added.
Yeah, I think
three. So. He would have been up in the big leagues this year had he stayed healthy, I think, probably as a lefty reliever. I think Lorenzo and Lee, you have to with Lorenzo, it's about the upside, right? Like somebody will take a chance on that upside for sure. Even if, as like Brandon said, he would come up to the big leagues and hit like 160 with like a 55% strikeout rate. He hit 206 with a 32% strikeout rate in AA last year. Yeah. But he's got a chance to catch. He's not ready yet. And he's got massive power from both sides of the plate. There's a lot to clean up there. The swing is way too long. His walk rate plummeted because he's not, better pitchers throw more strikes. So there's a ways to go there, but yeah.
Chris, you know what smart teams do with Tyrone Lorenzo?
What do they do?
Trade him.
Include him in a trade.
We thought about that last year, but then he stopped catching, that didn't help. There was stuff going on in the background there, but he's still relatively young. The upside's there. You keep him around. It never hurts to have a third catcher on the 40-man, even if he's not necessarily going to help you catch. But and then Lee, like you said, Brandon, I think Lee gives you. They're kind of flush with Lee type players at second base, third base. But he did do a good job against left-handed pitching last year at AAA. And if you want a cheaper Andy Ibanez replacement who can go up and down multiple times, there's your guy.
Yeah.
I think Jack Jones is the cheaper Andy Ibanez replacement.
Jack Jones.
Jemai.
Oh, excuse me. Jamie Jones. Jones. Jack Jones from 1980. There we go.
I love me some Jack Jones. So.
Jack Jones traded for Craig Monroe.
What was it? 90? What was it? 2000 what? 2008?
When they got Jack Jones?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
When they went after all the veterans and they all didn't work.
Yeah, but I think, obviously, Jemai Jones has replaced Andy Ibanez. Let's be pretty blunt about it. But, Rogelio Castillo favorite, Trey Cruz, I'd like to see them add him. I still can't understand why he did not get more of a shot. He walks. He plays 5 positions. He can hit the ball out of the park. He's not slow. What don't you like?
I don't. That's the part that really pisses me off. Like I'm not saying this but we've watched him evolve. Like he's been all over our top 30 list all the time. Like we've been up and down about him all the time, but when he got consistent, when he started hitting on a regular basis, when all that noise, he started being like in Gabe Alvarez rants and raves about from night and day. I mean, when he first came up there was a kind of like a repetition being him a kind of a hot dog, but then defensively, he was his best center fielder last year in the championship series. Shortstop, he could play a good glove. He has good range to do both.
And got a big arm.
And this is after a shoulder. I mean, he had surgery. I mean, this is a guy who came back after an injury and looked fantastic. And again, I think the Tigers do see value in him, but it's just where are you gonna put him? And
I think the problem is that it's like he does the things Zach McKinstry does, but you're a little less confident that he's gonna hit, but not a lot. I mean, it's not a big difference, and you could argue, that Trey Cruz is a more valuable defensive player. It's just that you can't have both of them. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to put both of them on the same roster. I think is the trick. Can we get something for Zach McKinstry? I don't know.
Silver Slugger, Zach McKinstry.
Yeah,
All-Star Zach McKinstry.
Sell him at peak value, baby.
It might be that they just don't let guys from Rice. They let Dane Myers go. Who was it
Yeah.
back in the day? Sleeth? Was Sleeth from Rice or was it Kenny Baugh?
Kenny Ball. Kenny Ball.
They're still mad about that.
Yeah,
they don't like guys who have like major league lineage, like they booted Cody Clemens, they don't want to see Trey Cruz. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Trey Cruz is one of those dudes who just always looked more professional than everyone and was always like a little below average at everything but plate discipline and base running. And then it just sort of all kind of came together for him after the surgery a little bit more. And yeah, I mean,
not young, by the way.
No, he is 27 now.
Yeah. I just don't get it. I mean, he's a perfect Hinch player. I'm just really confused by it. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, Henning, like Lynn Henning's not making a big deal out of him. So why?
Well, I don't know. Part of it feels like he's a stone cold lock for the Tigers' 2021, right? Like that, like they're doing. Yeah. And we touched on it, and Evan and I actually talked to Dugan Darnell today. Which was fun. He's got a really cool story, and he's super excited to play for his hometown team. And I was like, I was going to bring up that like you might not be on this team tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
how is it riding the waiver wire? It's hot. Yeah. It's a hot wire.
Well, I was asking him about that. I'm like, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, these two guys they just picked up within a week. Neither is going to be on the 40. I mean, they're going to do some things, and they're the first guys getting sliced. So
yeah, and we've seen this. That this is how they like to do this. They like to get these guys kind of under the radar a little bit, and then drop them and see if they can sneak them through waivers because they like them. Scott Harris loves to stack these kind of MLB talent in AAA as much as possible, and then have everybody in AA for 3 years, at least based on the last 3 years. But and they like some things about these guys. It doesn't necessarily jump off the page to me. Darnell's got some good extension. He's got a split. He said he developed a bullet slider because he knew he was going to be pitching in Colorado and Albuquerque, and the curveball he has doesn't work. So I don't know, maybe they'll fold that big in. I don't know. But these are guys that they like something about them. They want to add them to depth to the organization, but they're not going to be on the big league, the 40-man roster. Yeah, like
you just try to wine them and dine them and hope that they hang on waiting for a call. Yeah.
Well, look, there's some, skill to managing your 40 by doing stuff like this at this time of year. The chaos level is so insane that you pretty much know that nobody will probably pick these guys up, so you can slide them through when you DFA them. And there's still going to be depth at Toledo, and you probably have an agreed upon deal with them to sign them as minor league free agents. So, I mean, I have my issues with a lot of what Scott does. This stuff he's pretty good at. So they got a plan for this stuff, and Garco's great at it too. So I'm sure that it'll be nice to start seeing some baseball activity. It's like the one sport in free agency that let's declare free agency, and everybody, I want you to go to the GM meetings and then on vacation for a week. And then when you come, 3 weeks later, we'll start signing people at the GM meetings in December.
Yeah, then the qualifying offer decisions, that's the big highlight this week,
They fail. It's not like the NFL. The NFL can stay in the news cycle all the time, and there's something going on every time. MLB, for whatever reason, can't do that. I mean, the Josh Naylor signing happened a week, but it was actually seemed like it happened early. Like, oh wow, something actually happened.
Yeah, that's a big move.
Yeah,
that's a good move for Seattle, right? Yeah. I mean, he fits there.
Absolutely.
I mean, Josh Naylor that's a good player. I mean, I don't know if the last 2 years of that deal will be so good, but he's really good, dude. He's annoying as all get out, too.
He's super pesky, yeah.
He's stealing 30 bases as one of the slowest players in baseball, so you don't have to worry about him slowing down. You're like, all right, well, he's just, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I want to give 5 years to any first baseman, but whatever. Like they're in a win now mode, and I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah,
I give 5 years to the polar bear.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean,
Naylor's more of like a 24, 25 home run type guy. I don't know if he can keep stealing bases, but yeah, he's pesky.
He walks.
He does walk and in battles. So yeah, I mean, and he just seemed to fit them like really well. Like he just seemed to get the culture almost immediately. So yeah, I was a little surprised it was 5 years, but the overall AAV is pretty reasonable. So yeah, no big surprise. Pretty good move for them, I think. For the most part, they don't necessarily have like a massive slugging first baseman that they're about to try. So yeah, all power to them, and yeah, good to have him out of the Central because man, I know his numbers overall. He's like a modestly above average first baseman, but against us, he was just a demon. A couple of the lookout landing people were telling me today about I forget his name, their first base coach. Apparently one of the best that anyone has ever heard of at picking up tells on pitchers to get his guys to ready to steal, and that was apparently a big part of him and Naylor just kind of vibing and picking up all these leads and cues on pitchers. And yeah, Naylor not fast, stealing 30 bases.
Eric Young Jr.
Yeah.
EY. Yeah, he could run a little bit too, I think.
Oh, and actually, we should go back. I'm sorry, we got the Naylor and we missed another possible first baseman, which is Eduardo Valencia.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
the Tigers would have to protect in the 40 man. They probably aren't going to, but it's a pretty interesting bat. Like he's not really a catcher, as we've all kind of come to realize. Like maybe he could catch a little bit on a part-time basis for you, but you look through his numbers, he didn't really have a weakness. When you see really good numbers at AAA with someone like, Jace Young or something, you can see like why it isn't going to translate, or at least where the problem is. Howie Lee too, really good fastball hitter, struggles with, kind of everything else. Eduardo Valencia hit breaking balls, handled that pretty well, handled off speed reasonably well, murdered fastballs, hit velocity. I don't know. I'm just curious about him. Like if I could get something good for Spencer Torkelson, would I potentially use Eduardo Valencia and Colt Keith at first base? I mean, maybe. I mean, this is all maybe being too cute, but it is going to be a little bit annoying if somebody claims Eduardo Valencia and he goes on to like hit more homers than Torque does, or out hit Torque next year.
Angels and Rockies, I would say, are in that mix to claim him. That would be the Rockies would be a really good spot for Valencia, I think.
Oh yeah. Damn.
And they have no problem playing catchers who can't catch. Remember
they
used to have
love
Willen Rosario and they used to have Jerry Weinstein.
They got a pretty good catcher there now though, dude.
Yeah, and he's a guy who was not a great defender.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that we've seen from catchers. Well, you don't necessarily want to give up on guys because who was it? Wells for the Yankees was not considered a good defender. Cal Raleigh was not considered a great defender.
Yeah. Right.
And again, we've already had a conversation about the ABS, and maybe framing isn't as big a deal, and as long as you can block and throw, if you can block, throw, and hit, that's going to be what it's about now.
And like I said, talking to Gabe about Valencia, he has a good presence behind the plate. It's just there's certain things they want him to clean up on, and that in first base. But he lost weight, he changed his swing mechanics a little bit, and even when, again, I've made this joke before, Troy Melton would see me in the locker room. He goes, best hitting guy in the best Tiger hitting prospect over Valencia. And he meant it. He wasn't being sarcastic either. And Troy Melton really, like everybody in Erie and Toledo that I spoke to, really, he was like the most surprising player. But he went out and really worked his ass off. And so I'd like to see him rewarded on this roster, but he's also right-handed. So
it's weird because like a right-handed like first base DH is like the least valuable position, except for a team like the Tigers, who absolutely needs somebody like that.
Yeah, 24. He led the minor league system in home runs with 24. Yep. He was the only guy. I think he was one of only one or two guys that hit 20 home runs. I think he might be the only one in the system last year to hit 20 home runs, I think.
And let me tell you, he mashed his last 75 at bats too. Yeah. He just absolutely. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, they're going to be killing.
And he's 25. He's going to be 26. Early next year. I mean, he's younger than Trey Cruz is. You just never know. Yeah, he did hit 24 home runs in 433 plate appearances. So that's like 2/3 of a major league season, basically.
I'm sorry. So it was Briseño was the only other one. So two catchers this year hit 20 home runs. That was it. The other one was Jake Holton, Max Anderson, Kevin McGonigal all hit 19. In case you're curious. So
damn it, Kevin.
And also, I mean, in all reality, he kind of was a triple crown. He didn't lead in RBIs.
Yeah.
Home runs and batting average.
Yep. So not a guy you really just want to cast aside. But this is where you get to when you have a better 40-man roster and you can't just like discard about 10 guys every offseason.
Yeah, well, and we've seen teams like the Rays and Cleveland and other teams who are good at stockpiling prospects. They will make trades right about now. They'll trade some guys who are borderline big leaguers who they don't really want, and get other prospects in lower levels, and sometimes they turn into Junior Caminero. Haven't seen the Tigers do that, but it's something. I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors whatsoever, but who knows? Maybe there'll be a trade tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we do have Jace Young, Jay Hen, on and on. How you Lee. We've got a lot of second basemen. We've got a lot of
Peyton Graham. I know he's your boy, Brandon.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't have that, not much value there at all, But yeah, I mean, there's, the Tigers have a bunch of dudes that you would like to convert at least one of them to something useful rather than just clinging to them all, hoping one of them can break through a major league roster and be a good player, year after year after year after year. Scott,
Paul DePodesta, see if he still likes guys who walk a lot.
Yeah.
Go get some rando A-ball players from Colorado and see,
they can play. They can roster Trey Cruz or Valencia or somebody next year for sure.
Yeah, it's such a shit show right now with the new administration. Lastly, I did want to mention Tarek Skubal, Cy Young. He was on the call. I was on the call. It's such a weird thing. Like, no offense to the Baseball Writers Association, which I'm proud. Both Chris and I are both proud members of. But you had to call in a 1-800 number to be part of the call. It was really weird. Like, you would think there would be something like this, but then you had to press pound 1 for a question. It was really well done.
You didn't. It wasn't like calling Marlon Brando where it's like a Chinese restaurant answers and you have to ask for him specifically. Or something.
That's funny.
No, it was really well done. But it was all the Tiger beat writers were there, but about him wanting to stay and what have you. And look, there's a big part of me that thinks that it's legit. Like, he is a fan favorite. Everybody likes him.
Yeah.
Scott Boras is pushing the narrative. It's just Scott Boras is essentially Spectre from Bond. He's just he's got his own agenda. He's got a stroking his cat somewhere. That's what he's gonna be. Yeah.
Working on his pun game.
Yeah.
Weirdo.
Really, really poor with Skubal. He needs to do much better.
Yeah. Sean goes, did you hear the movie guy's voice, Raj? Yeah.
Just tell me what you want to watch.
Yeah, like the Kramer. Yeah.
He does that every year as a shtick, right?
Yeah,
he does the pun thing every year. It's
sometimes he's got some bangers though. Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss.
You know what? What were we going to say, Chris?
I'd say this year's was a little rough. He did well with Pete Alonso. There was some good alliteration there. The Bregman one was kind of Dunkin' Donuts based. Maybe he's just warming up for next, the actual winter meetings.
But if you make that much money, why don't you hire some writers?
Maybe
Boras is worth like $500 million.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I'll come write for you, Scott, if you're out there listening.
Yeah,
work up some material.
Listen, they have better scouts at the Boras Corporation than most teams. Probably
they do.
That's how you end up with Tarek Skubal as a client when nobody else knows about him.
Chris, tell that story. You know that story
about Skubal?
Yeah.
No.
You remember how they drafted him, right?
Well, I remember the Boras Corporation called up the Tigers and said, "Hey, we think you might like this guy."
Yeah.
Pay attention.
They did like him, but they called and reinforced on that premise and said, "You need to take him now."
Yep.
Yeah.
And they did. And the rest is history, right? So.
That's a great point that they do. I mean, it is like an organization that doesn't play ball over there, but they scout and they have as good a data as anybody. And
you could look at every year's draft class. There'll be a handful of kids, high school kids that are Boras Corp repped, and then some of them don't sign, and then they go 3 years later, they're a top 5 pick, right? Like I wonder
if a team has ever tried to poach like an executive from Boras Corp or whatever it's called, just to get ahead of the game and like find out a lot of things about players that they don't know. Like, it might be interesting. Maybe the NBAs are involved.
By the way, do you know why that answer is no?
Salary?
Why? Because he pays too well?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That is the answer. He pays way more than teams pay.
Huh. Look at here's the thing about look at this. It looks like a baseball, like your layer, like it's the ultimate baseball layer. But the logo, the reason why I was looking at the logo, it always fascinates me is that as somebody in marketing, it's like the most nondescript thing, but it wields so much power. And there's a lot of logos that are very simplistic, that wield a lot of power. Like you think of Ford. Like Ford's at the blue oval. They have this diamond thing, and so Boris Corporation, same thing. Like it's a simple logo, it's a simple B, but it represents baseball. But it's so clean and simple, but it wields a lot of power. Every GM's the same way, although their new logo sucks. I'm sorry, the new GM logo sucks. I'm sorry, but I look at this like it's just that's the kind of power he has, and same thing like this right here. Look, where's the cat? There's gonna be a cat somewhere.
There should be a white fluffy cat.
Yeah, right there,
wearing a Louisville Slugger, like chain instead of a collar.
Yeah. So, by the way,
Scoopable, pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, they're scouting. Yeah, they're scouting. Do they even know? Like, do they have any former scouts that we would know of or anything, or no?
I don't know if we can find out. Yeah, it's probably not.
We could do. We'll do a little homework on that and give a rundown. In the next few weeks, what we find out.
Yeah, that is an interesting project to try to figure that out. Yeah,
I have one sort of vaguely. This is a deeply nerdy baseball draft trivia, but Scooball now has 2 Cy Youngs, and I'm pretty sure there are only 2 other pitchers with multiple Cy Young awards who were drafted later than Scooball.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, so is this a trivia challenge?
I saw somebody tweet it, so it should be pretty out there.
Okay, yeah, I didn't. I was going to tweet it, and then I was like, I don't feel like doing this right now. But yeah, the draft is 60 years old or whatever, so there's there are not that many multi-time Cy Young winners, right? There's probably about 30 of them, maybe fewer. I don't know.
I think it was a lot less. I can't remember the number though.
It's not Roger Clemens, is it?
No, he was a first rounder, I believe.
First rounder from Texas, baby.
So, with Pedro Martinez?
He wasn't drafted, was he?
No, he wasn't drafted. So it would be. You said drafted. Okay,
yeah,
drafted. Trying to think of.
Well, Kershaw was a first rounder.
He was.
No, wait. Would it be? No, that's easy. John Smoltz. Or did he win?
I think he only has 1 Cy Young.
One.
I thought he won one as a reliever. Why did I thought he won one as a reliever?
No, yeah.
Maddox, maybe.
Yeah, Maddox.
I think Maddox was also a first rounder.
Was he? Yeah, I thought he was like at least top 2 or 3. Peyton Graham needs a high protein diet immediately. Yeah, will tell us. Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you guys.
Send him to Venezuela for some arepas.
I'll be interested to see next year is I want to see if Pacheco can leverage on this season. That'd be interesting.
Yep.
I mean, that'll be big. That's he's got the power. He's got the swing decisions. The launch angle is about right. He just, I think there's still going to be swing and miss there, and we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of swing and miss there.
Yeah.
But
I'm curious about Max Anderson too.
So we're going
he needs to improve those swing decisions as well. The problem is he can get the bat on everything, and it makes it harder. I think
Mm-hmm.
Needs to wait for better stuff and start hitting some more dingers. Max, come on now,
guys. I mean, at some point, I know we're getting out of here pretty soon, but I've been doing some thinking, and this last week, I don't know why it's kind of resonated with me so much, but I've been thinking the play to throw some money at on a 3-year deal. How about some Corbin Burns? I mean,
Brandon Woodruff.
Brandon Woodruff. Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, we kind of talked about him the other day, but he's and he's got a qualifying offer decision to make tomorrow too. So I guess we'll find out if he's available.
I would offer him $375.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think so too. They've got, it's just the velocity being down. I mean, and maybe that comes back. Maybe they know he's not old.
But he has other stuff besides that too, And I just think he's a good fit here. And if you hit on that's a lot more upside than Jack Flaherty, who made $25 million last year. So,
and that's the thing. Like, Greenberg's talking about like we want pitching. Like, what are you going to do with another starting pitcher who isn't like really good? Unless there's an upgrade. You're just kind of adding another guy to the back of the band, and it's like, I don't really see the point. So yeah, I would love to see them shoot for somebody with more upside and give it a run for sure.
All right. So let's play 2025 Detroit Tigers pitching poker. I'll say a name. you say a name after that if you're catching on. So they want to add pitching. Last year they added pitching. They added Alex Cobb. Who else did they add?
Jack Flaherty.
Yeah. Who else?
Tommy Kahnle.
Tommy Kahnle,
Yeah.
John Brebbia.
Who else were they paying besides that came to spring training?
Kenta Maeda.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
and then
Andrew Chapin was around for a little while. We had the Boyd experience.
This is
how many people did we pick up along the garbage route after June 1st of relievers that didn't work out? How many were there?
Yeah, many. But they also did as well as the guys that they actually paid. So that might tell you
something you touched on earlier, Mark, is you can make a pretty strong argument that the Tigers under Scott Harris have done better with these sort of Jack Little types, these minor league journeyman free agent types, than they have with the guys they pay money to in free agency.
Yeah. How about they paid good money to Morton and Paddock. They paid good money to, and Sewald, by the way. So it's you're 100% right though, Chris. I mean, Chase Lee. Whoever thought Chase Lee was going to contribute anything? I mean, not that he did, but more than they thought.
He was good for like a month and a half, and then it just all fell apart. But that's relievers for you. But I don't know. They seem to have a knack for that in some capacity. It's like you got to get these actual free agent pitchers right. Like, and to your point, Brandon, if you're not going to get like a number 2 starter, then you're going to get like a number 5 swingman. And there's nothing wrong with depth. You don't want to get caught without starters again and have to do pitching chaos in like May.
Right.
You're going to have to do that. And then if everybody's healthy, then you're like, okay, well, I guess Troy Melton is pitching and relief.
But
Kader Montero's last option gets used, and he's in Toledo.
By the way, how good was Kader Montero from September on, including the playoffs?
I mean, he was good. He was
pretty.
He's always
useful.
on that edge, though. Where he did. Yeah, I understand why it's hard to just turn him loose and trust him, and but you also don't want to let him go. So, and he's got one option left next year. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of more of the can we find another Alex Cobb who isn't completely busted and older, and stash that guy who might come back in June or July? That seems like my angle right now is
how about we get a guy that? How about instead of stashing a guy, we get a guy that actually starts in April who's good? That'd be good too.
Oh, well, that's radical. You're talking crazy now. Yeah, I mean,
what a concept. By the way, Chris, would Jacob deGrom be that Cy Young Award winner?
Jacob deGrom is one of
them.
Yeah,
that is in. That for sure is one.
He was also taken in the 9th round, 20 picks after Skubal. Not the same draft, but Skubal was the first pick in the 9th round. DeGrom was the 20th pick.
God. I thought he was a 3rd or 4th rounder. Jeez, Pete.
No, he was a shortstop at in where is it? Florida Gulf Coast. I remember that there's a great story about him hitting a home run off of Chris Sale. It was the only home run he hit in college.
And the other one, and the only other one that I'm pretty sure I know this is only because I did not look this up at all, because he just had he had that odd even thing. Was Brett Saberhagen?
Brett Saberhagen, 19th rounder.
Yeah,
got to the big leagues in a year and a half and won 2 Cy Youngs.
Man, was he good!
He had a weird odd year. The odd years, he was really good. 80. Was it?
Oh yeah, he was off on.
Yeah, off on for whatever reason.
Yeah, the WAR is hilarious.
Injuries were the off on for him.
Yeah.
1.5 WAR, 7.1 WAR, 2.0 WAR, 8.0 WAR, 3.8 WAR, 9.7 WAR.
Wow.
Yeah, the year he won 20 games in '85 when the Royals won the World Series, he went 20-6. But yeah, the 7.9 WAR. Yeah,
I remember him. I remember he was scary, and I treasured my baseball cards of him.
And then I remember him also.
He and Dan Quisenberry.
Yeah, he gave up a big home run to Brendan Fraser in the movie The Scout.
He did.
During the tryout where he was
funny.
who the hell is this guy? And then he asked Albert Brooks if he was going to pay him or not. But all right, so then you know how.
Hey, Chris, when's the real GM meetings? Usually it's the first week of December or something. You know the answer to that?
The winter meetings, or
the winter meetings. When's the winter meetings?
December 7th through the 10th.
In Orlando, I believe.
The Rule 5 is the 10th of December. So
because that's when things start banging around. Is in another week or two, I think.
Yeah, the GM. Nothing ever really happens at the GM meetings. I think that I don't even know what they're doing. They're just hanging out and drinking and talking about.
Scott just sent Jeff. I think Scott had a personal matter or something. Jeff was just hanging out, doing some GM things.
Yeah.
Oh, we would be remiss if we didn't say congratulations to Kevin McGonigal.
Yes.
No terribly big surprise that he was the Arizona Fall League MVP. We've kind of talked about this. He and Max Anderson just tore the place apart, but that's what they're supposed to do. So no big surprise, but
I think JJ Cooper of Baseball America thought there were some mild shenanigans going on there. He thought that Anderson should have won MVP. Now,
yeah,
I mean, his overall numbers were just as good, if not better, than McGonigal's. He played like 4 fewer games.
Yeah, Kevin
but
hit a little more power, but not a big
I
difference.
think that the Arizona Fall League might want to reward teams for sending their top prospects and some of the top prospects in baseball. So hey, you give them an award. But
one way or the other, that award is the Tigers once again, following on Josue Briseño's monstrous performance last year.
I think Mark pointed out all the other great MVPs there: Nelson Velasquez, Dearborn's own or Allen Park's own Jacob Marcy. Jacob Marcy had a good year this year.
Yeah, he did. He's in the mix to play this year. I think Florida, right? Florida, Jacob Marcy, Florida.
Yeah, he's with he was with the Padres. We saw him a bunch with Fort Wayne, and then he ended up getting traded to. What deal would that have been? Yeah.
For what player? I'm sorry.
Jacob Marcy.
Jacob Marcy
from the
center field.
He was in a package deal for the Padres to the Marlins. I've gone and forgotten who it was.
Do you know my mom started 2 games in the AFL this year? She tired the second time through the order. The pitching in the AFL now compared to 5 years ago there's just no comparison now. No one sends pitchers to the AFL now. They get guys from Home Depot. That's literally there's like guys from Home Depot pitching in the AFL now. So that's why I didn't understand why McGonigal was even there. I mean, what was the point there? I mean, it's not like. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's getting swings, and I guess that probably he's doing a lot of working out on his defense in the morning. But holy smokes,
Luis Ariz trade.
Yeah, the Ariz trade.
Yeah, okay,
I don't know. I mean. What you do occasionally see there are a handful of good relievers that you'll see in the AFL every year, but you don't know when you're going to get them. Actually, the first game out there, they got a pretty good one from I think he's from the Padres, and the Astros had a good pitcher out there, and then a couple good pitchers. One of them was in the All-Star game, but you're not going to run into Paul Skeens or whatever. Get some innings.
I mean, Andrew Painter last year was like the big dog.
Right.
And that was because
Painter
was injured. If somebody's injured and they need some innings, but otherwise, they're not sending anybody good out there.
Don't you guys think the league would be a lot better if they cut 3 weeks off it?
The AFL?
No.
Yeah.
Or the actual baseball?
No, they both maybe, but the AFL if they cut 3 weeks off it, so it ended. I think that teams would send better players there because it would be for a month or 3.5, 4 weeks, get in, get out. They'd send some more pitching there. I think it would just in general be a way more competitive league than it's devolved into now.
Well, I think if you just led from the regular season right into it, maybe because it's that sitting around for a couple weeks and then you're going to go out and throw 5 or 6 games into mid-November.
Yeah, like
awkward.
Like September 20th to October 20th, get the heck out of there, be done with it. It send kids home. I think it's just not as sexy as it once was. I mean, it gets worse every year too. So I think they need to reconsider what they're doing with it.
Yeah, I think there is kind of an odd issue with the timing of it. But the Tigers tried to make it sexy. I mean, we sent them Kevin McGonigal and Max Anderson.
Yeah. But they changed the rules.
I don't know why.
It used to be that you had to be a AA or above, right? And you could only have one player. And they changed it to make it more inclusive. And now big leaguers can go and play there. And I mean, there are ways to make it more exciting and more interesting. I don't know. I think it's at this point, it's just kind of a tradition. So you go and you miss some time during the year as a hitter. You go out there and you get another 80 at bats in Arizona.
All right. So here's the last question, and understand I'm new to giving a lot of consideration to minor league stuff. So here's my minor league question of the week for you guys.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, last year's draft, 2025 Tigers draft, Yost and who, I mean, we hear nothing about any of them. What's going on there? Did we draft a bunch of people? Did we draft people in the?
Too. Like what happened to Owen Hall? Like what happened to everyone just disappeared into the void last year, basically, especially on the pitching side. But yeah, I mean, Malachi didn't get any innings, did he? Did he throw at all? Yeah, okay.
No,
you got.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, so yeah, I mean, we did. Our friend, is it Sherry or Terry? I always forget, Raj.
Terry.
So she got some footage of Yost hitting down and basically the instructs. That was basically, I think they just play Toronto every day.
Yep.
And but we did, with Witherspoon, I think he had hit his innings limit, and the other college guys had hit his innings limits. But we got a couple of the JUCO kids, and Kale Witwiska is very interesting. I think they may have found something there with that kid. He's the guy that was like completely off the board, and I took him in like the 7th round at a JUCO out of, Omaha or something.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
But he's got a mid-90s fastball that has he's got 7+ feet of extension. It's got like 19 inches of IVB. It's got a ton of ride. It's got a ton of carry. It's a high arm slot. And he's got some interesting looking secondaries. He just needs to he pitched like 4 innings in Lakeland. And I swear to God, every inning it was like he managed to go to full counts with every hitter and load the bases and then wiggle out of it somehow. And it's just like, okay, the command is not close to where it needs to be, but that's a really interesting arm to work with. So I'm curious to see what he can do next year if they can get him throwing a little bit more strikes. But other than that, we didn't see a lot of guys.
Next year should be pretty interesting because look, let's be really blunt about it. Besides Rayner, who is amazing, by the way. Oh my God, do I love me some Bryce Rayner? Oh my God, I'm giving him a big hug when I see him this spring. But I mean, it's hard. You guys are in a very rare air class of actually knowing who the Tigers have drafted the last 2 years. It's like they're all in witness protection or something. It's what the heck is going on there?
We've heard like Shufflebomb's been losing velocity. We've heard a lot of different things, but it's been very, very like we've been trying to get Garco on the pod for a while, man. Like and hopefully, Garco, if you listen, man, come on.
But yeah, this goes back to 2020.
We're not talking injuries, I promise. We're not going to do any of that.
Yeah. Not going to sell you out and make you say things you can't say. But yeah, I mean, 2024. Where's Paul Wilson? Shuffle being gone, Swanson hurt, all these guys. Yeah. It's like they drafted all these prep pitchers, and this is kind of what can happen. But I mean, it's a little bit sketchy right now because they're all in the twilight zone. You just don't know what to say.
Well, I think it's a pretty fair question. I mean, it's. But look, is it wrong to if you said, "I'll get one really decent player out of every draft," would you take that hit rate if you were a Poba? If you said I'm going to get one guy that's going to be usable in the major leagues every draft, I mean that's not a terrible hit rate, right?
I did a big dive into this years ago, and it turned out that I think the average team was either 1.5 or 2.5 players who had a 2-WAR season at some point in their career. So somewhere between 1 and 3 players per draft that ends up being at some point an average big leaguer.
So you're hoping for a good player or 2 like somewhat useful players for some period of time. Yeah.
If you get Justin Verlander in the first round and absolutely nobody else, Josh Spores,
right? But look,
you're happy with that. Or
how about the COVID draft? When that was the greatest Avila draft ever. I mean, it's weird though. But I mean, all I'm saying is that they Scott totally changed up everything about how they drafted. All right, everything, philosophy, guys, drafting high school guys, player development, pretty much everything. And in the last 2 years, aside from Rayner, Rayner fell to them. Thank God he fell to them. But it's really kind of bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of predictable. I mean, to some degree, it's the fact that so many of them seem to have suffered like a significant injury. Not just that they're babying them like you'd expect them to do, kind of the way they did with Job at first and stuff, and like bringing them along really carefully. I mean, some of that is fine. It's the fact that it was just like all last spring. It was like, oh, I'm looking forward. Oh no, that guy blew his elbow. Oh, what about this guy? Oh no, he's hurt. Owen Hall's like throwing 98 with 19 IVB, and we're getting all excited. No, he's hurt. We're not going to see him. There's a question there as far as like how they're conditioning these guys. Like, I mean, it deserves some time to let it play out, I'm sure, but at the moment, yeah, it's a concern. I think that's fair.
One of the interesting things to me, a little bit, and it's kind of hard to say this is like a trend or anything, but it was exciting. Like, they're going after all these high school players now. It's fun, and the high school hitters have worked out pretty darn good, I would say. The high school pitching, not so much. But meanwhile, they've been hitting on college guys at a decent rate. Like they haven't seen that at the big league level yet. But like Andrew Sears is now one of their best pitching prospects. He was a 9th rounder, 10th rounder. They used Micah Ashman and RJ Sales in trades last year. That's like a 10th rounder, 9th rounder, 11th rounder. To get big league pieces. Like that was something they never did in the years past. They never had anybody worth a damn after like the 10th round. And Lucas Ellisalt is an interesting pitching prospect, just needs to throw a little harder. So they've done pretty well with these college arms and JUCO guys. It's just like the high school guys, they've had zero luck with the high school pitching.
I think Kerry Carpenter was pretty good after the 10th round.
Yeah. I'm thinking more about like the 2012s range where it was like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah. Well, and the Harris drafts, not the Avila drafts. Yeah. That was a good draft for Al there. I got to give him that one.
So,
argue with that. But yeah, it is interesting to think of that 2020 draft that you got. I mean, it's not often that you get like a starting catcher, starting first baseman, and whatever Colt Keith becomes, but is already like an above average major league hitter at least.
Hopefully, what Colt Keith becomes is a Diamondback. That would be.
Well, yeah. And Workman made the big leagues. They had Wilmer Flores as a top 100 prospect as an unsigned free agent before he blew out his arm like several times. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was a good run right there. I remember getting real excited after Wilmer as well, and seeing what Keith turned into in 22 was like, oh, holy shit, this might be an absolutely legendary draft.
And Daniel Cabrera turned into a loser.
A bitter old man. What? Oh, that's another story for another day. We'll have to talk about that. But thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back. Like I said, we'll be probably recording something on Sunday. But after that, we'll see you after Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody has a good Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving, or whatever, however you celebrate. Being on medication right now sucks because I can't eat like I used to, as Mark can attest to this. It's literally it just sucks. But stay classy, everybody. And we'll be back, like I said, Sunday recording. I don't know. We have to watch see what happens at the football game, of course, too. Schedules may vary, is what you're saying. We'll have an episode for you at some point next week. Yeah, exactly. Depending on the fuckery of the NFL, the little refs and everything. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night, everybody.